Starring Drew Harrison and Will Abeles.
Welcome back to my funny friends, part of the Project Nerd family of podcasts. I am one half of your hosting dynamic duo, Drew Harrison. And as always, I have my lovely co-host. And boy, does he have a story for you. You would love to look at his screen right now and see this beautiful backdrop and be like, this was planned. We meant to do this. Oh, but wait. Let's ask the man himself, Will Abeles. Will, how are you doing today?
I'm outside, baby.
Was this planned?
No, of course not. No. Of course not. But I do. That has been a theme since we joined Project Nerd. I do tend to have a I got locked out story.
So
except for this
if
time,
anything, you're staying on brand.
Yeah, this time I'm not sleeping outside. I rented my place out. Yeah, I rented my place out to some friends. I'm on my way back. Forgot my keys. Forgot that they have my spare key, but conveniently had all my equipment with me. And I'm next to my Wi-Fi, so I was like, you know what? We're not canceling. We're just going to improvise. And we're going to have a beautiful background. It's still, the mosquitoes will come in right about the time we wrap up, so I won't get eaten to death. And
That's good. That's good.
Here we are.
Well, here we are. Will, who is our lovely guest?
Well, this guy, fantastic comedian. I met him in Denver around this time last year, maybe sometime over the
August.
summer. Yep. August, yeah. And I've been following him since. It's very fun to watch. He just had a special out. And he is currently on the road, but we'll get to all that. Everyone give it up for Graham K, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Clapping in your cars and driving off the road because your hands are off the wheels.
Right.
Just too excited. Yeah.
Yeah. It was worth it.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm lying to you. I am not great. I'm going through a breakup, but everything else is good in my life. I have
That's good.
My health.
Always a plus.
My family's health and what little remains of my youth. So that's fun.
Yeah. That's all you can ask for.
Three important things.
Yeah.
Well, sorry to hear about the breakup. That's tough.
Yeah. I don't know why you brought it up, but I'm trying to have a good time here. You're dwelling on the past.
Yeah, that's my fault.
Yeah.
Well, luckily I'm on a porch just high enough that if I jump off, it won't kill me, but it will break my legs. So if we get to that, I can provide some entertainment for you.
For that, you don't deserve to die.
But a little pain.
You deserve to have two broken legs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I like how I'm saying two broke legs is just a little pain. Just a little pain.
Oh yeah. I broke my ankle in 2019, and it was not a little bit of pain.
I can imagine. Yeah, I just bruised ribs. I didn't even break any ribs. I bruised ribs, and it's the worst.
It's terrible.
Couldn't breathe.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I did that once as a kid, so it wasn't as bad because you're a kid, so you're just kind of like, I don't really know what's happening here.
Yeah,
it's back a bit quicker.
Yeah. I think that I used to have a joke about how, growing up in Canada, you're cold. Like once you become an adult, you're cold all the time. But when you're a kid, you're never cold.
Yeah.
Like it's like minus whatever, and you're like walking by like a schoolyard, just shivering. And there's just some kid with his jacket open. He's got his mittens are on a string, but they're not attached, and he's just swinging his arms.
Yeah,
because no one told him that you're supposed to be in pain.
Right.
No,
he doesn't know that
discomfort or any of that.
Yeah,
it's like I'm living
later in life. Yeah, I used to remember leaving basketball practice in middle school and being drenched in sweat, and my parents would be like, "You have to bundle up. You're going to be cold."
Put your coat on. You're like, no.
You walk outside, and you're like, "This feels incredible."
Yeah. I'm alive, Mom, you stupid idiot.
Let me feel things.
Yeah.
You put my coat on.
Well, Graham, we always like to start off with what year and where did you start stand-up comedy?
Okay. Oh, I for some reason thought there was going to be a big graphic and
there would be.
Here,
we can do that
just
just later on.
Here it comes. Here it comes. No,
Like right before we ask you the $1 million question on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
yeah.
Yeah.
What is
Just
your
a-
name? I just wet myself. I don't know.
I just have an air horn. Just
Quit pressuring me. My first ever set was in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, where I'm from. It's the capital city. We have two clubs now. We had one back then, and they never had back then. They didn't have open mics. They didn't have. They just had like one amateur night you could do once a month,
Okay.
and a sold out crowd in a
Hmm.
comedy club, like 150 people.
Wow.
And that's like how you had to do your thing. I did that. I lied to everybody because I didn't want anyone to come see me. And I bombed so hard. And John Doerr, who's one of my favorite comedians of all time, he's also from Ottawa. And back then he was just starting out and he was the host of that show.
Oh, wow.
And he said you could hold a piece of paper, and I'm holding a piece of paper and it's just shaking.
Yeah.
I'm like, I shouldn't have held this paper. And I had like my set list on it in front of everybody. It's just like accentuating how nervous I am. And then I do 2 out of 5 minutes and I just leave. And I like have like almost a panic attack in the green room after. And I'm like, thank God I didn't tell anyone I was going to do it. And then I left the green room and my ex, or like my girlfriend at the time, was just in the back of the room with her mouth open. And like, she had found out what I was doing, I guess, and like was going to surprise me. And because I'd been hinting I wanted to try stand up. And then I did not do stand up for about 5 more years.
What stopped
And
you? What are you talking about?
yeah. Well, I finished college. I remember there was like some guy in the cafeteria at college, like put like stand-up comedy class paper, like little flyers. He was
Oh
like an
yeah.
older guy that lived in town, and he's like an old road dog that settled in that college town. And I just had it on my dresser, I remember, for like a year and a half. And I just never took his class. And then I think I graduated. I did like one more amateur night and I crushed. And I was like high,
Yeah.
like floating. It's like first, first heroin, first cocaine. And, they say you're always trying to chase that high.
Yeah.
At least that's my experience with my huge heroin addiction. But yeah. I love that the crank. Is that what it is? I don't know.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got a summer job in New York City that was under the table because Canadians can't work in America, and I figured that would be like a summer in New York City would be equivalent to like 2 years in Ottawa, and I wanted
Yeah.
to catch up because I had like already had a job after college. This is like, this is not just right after college. It's like a year after. I traveled a bit. I had done all sorts of stuff. I got all that stuff off my head. And then so I did that, and then I like I had a job. The job was working for a Jewish summer camp, logistics for it for rich kids, and we would send them all over the world and like get their
Okay.
tickets and do all that. And I was really bad at it because I'd be up late at night doing stand up
Yeah.
and doing open mics, and it was like an
Not
hour
wanting to
north
be
of
there.
not wanting to be there. It was an hour north of the city in the morning. I have to wake up. I like was
Oh, so you had
my
to commute
sublet
out?
was downtown, and
Oh,
I
okay.
got anyway. I sent a kid to the wrong city in Italy, like a 11-year-old boy, 12-year-old boy,
Perfect.
and I got fired. And then I had enough money to pay for the rest of the summer, but not enough money to eat. So I like did like Craigslist jobs, and then I kind of wanted to stay because I was like making friends and getting up here and there and starting to get. It was like 6 months in, and I was hitting it pretty hard, and So I got like a under the table, like waiting tables job where like they would give you, they would give you a check for your work, but I would just throw it out because I didn't have a social. I like put like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or something
Gotcha.
as my,
So you
and
lived
then,
off tips.
yeah, and I just took my tips and,
Wow.
and then, I, then I got a job interning at Vice and I was trying to get work visa through that. Then I kept asking, like trying to do that and do that. And,
That's tough to
um,
do too.
it's,
It's
it's,
it's ins-
it's
yeah,
way harder than most people think.
yeah.
To
I had
like,
a
so,
friend go through that.
yeah, there's this, false narrative out there that it's just like, really easy to become an immigrant in America. And I can tell you, as someone who has had an O1 performing arts visa and subsequently a green card, it is not easy. I tried to get a work visa from within America and tried to get Vice to sponsor me. And then they thought it's like, I don't know. I just basically, I was just, I got long story short, I'll tell the story. I'm like, obviously, I'm like, clearly you can tell I'm like deciding which way to go in this, if I do it the
The
long version or short
crossroads.
version. But anyway, I got falsely fired from Vice for stealing a skateboard, but I wasn't stealing it. And it was Gavin McGinnis, the guy who fired me, the guy who
Oh
was the
yeah.
leader of the Proud Boys. I was just like, as an adult, like finally, like I always wanted to be a skater and I was always too skinny. And I like started skateboarding in my 20s and I was like drunk at a bar with all the Vice guys. And I was like, let me go grab this skateboard that was just hanging in the doorway. And it happened to be like some Nintendo executives, some like 40-year-old, 30-year-old skater and Nintendo executives that they were trying to impress. And I got fired. And then I wasn't going to get a visa from them anyway. And then I just, continued to like work. And I was passed at 4 clubs in New York City and I had 5. I worked at a couple other, but they couldn't pay me because they paid in check. I only could
Yeah.
work at clubs that paid in cash. And then I got arrested for graffiti. I was making fun of
Oh
my friend for
no.
doing graffiti at like 3 in the morning, and like undercover cops, plainclothes cops, like beat us up and put us in jail.
Jesus.
And then I had,
Wow. You had the American
I
experience
yeah,
in a very short amount of time.
yeah. I lived in the hood too. I like moved. I like lived with a bunch of Vice guys in Bed-Stuy, where it's like not a good neighborhood, and there
Yeah.
was like it was back in the day before it got gentrified at all. We were the first, and then there was like gunshots every night and stuff, and I basically was like, I'm not going to get a visa. I got arrested. I got it. It got expunged if in a year if I didn't commit any crimes, which is, luckily for me, I'm not a big crime guy.
That's nice.
But anyway, I was like, I gotta go. I gotta move. I gotta like move to Canada and do this properly.
Yeah.
And the longer I stay, the harder it's going to be to extract myself. And I got a Conan audition that I couldn't take. It was like illegal for me to do Conan.
Wow.
Um, and I watched like my peers start getting TV. I'd been there 5 years,
Oh
Yeah.
man.
5 years. And I was like, I would thought I was on, it doesn't matter. Like, but I was getting good at stand up. That's the good news is it was the right place for me. It was the right
Yeah.
place to do your first 5 years of stand up because you really
Yeah.
learn how to write a joke in New York and you're surrounded by people that are better than you, whether it's tennis or whatever. You want to be around people that are better than you. And
Yeah.
then I moved to Toronto, which is a great place for me to bring those skills to and sort of take advantage of because it's like a Chicago type city. It's really big. You can get up 3 times a night.
Hmm.
There's opportunities to be on TV, opportunities to write on TV there, and opportunities to be like a touring act. And I mean, no one in America is going to know what's going on, but you're going to be able to become a headliner and like
Well, yeah.
learn in a safe space, kind of like you're not going to like worry about Hollywood seeing you or whatever because you're on the road in
Yeah.
Saskatchewan and
Yeah.
literally no one from show business is there. Yeah, so I did that for 3 years and then I like hired a lawyer to get a work visa, and I you have to get in order to get a work visa to be in the United States as a performer, you have to get around 15 letters of recommendation from people in high regard in your business. And so, and the higher they are, the more chance you have of getting it. And then you have to have people like real publications write reviews on who you are and say that you're good. And you have to win competitions. You have to show that you've judged your peers. You have to show a bunch of like show posters that you're working. You have to show that you've been making money and how much money you've been making.
Oh my God.
And you have to do it all properly and present it in a light that would be impressive to whatever American public servant that your file drops on their desk. Hopefully you get a good one. And so you have to hire a lawyer who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I did that. And then even if you get rejected, you still have to pay your lawyer because they did all the work. And the lawyer is like $5,000-$6,000. And then I got one. I won Just for Laughs, the Canadian New Faces. Canadians aren't allowed to do new faces at Just for Laughs. Just for Laughs is like the biggest comedy club or comedy festival in the world, and it's like how you, as an American, if you go up to Montreal, it's how you get representation and break to the next level. Is you get selected first to be on New Faces, and then you do well on New Faces, and you'll get management. But Canadians aren't allowed to do that. So I had to. If we have a competition, and you have to win. And I won. I got lucky. I was up against like really, really, really funny people. And then I got an American agent and I got my work visa, and she wanted me move to LA. I wanted to move back to New York to hang out with all my friends and like continue my momentum. So I went to LA, lived there for 2 years, was able to get a green card that was another $10,000. And I had to like take out a loan, and like took me a while to pay that off. It's like now it's like $17,000 at this point for all the legal fees. I have to redo it. My green card is up in a couple of years. I have to redo all that. And
do you have to pay it again?
No, but not all of it, just like a couple grand or whatever. Yeah, and then I just, I decided she wanted me to act. I didn't want to act as much, so I moved to New York in 2017, and I bought I had this sick tour I set up, and I was going to drive like diagonal across America.
From LA to New York.
Yeah, with all my stuff. I had like a long distance girlfriend in LA. It's one of the reasons why it didn't work. I lived with somebody in Toronto, and then when I moved to LA, I was long distance for like 10 months. Then she moved down to LA with me, and then it was like she is Canadian, illegal for her to work. So I was like supporting her with stand up. She was like an executive in Canada, and like, and it was just, it was just like she was running out of money. I was running out of money. Like she didn't know what to do all day. Like the stress, like kind of broke us up. And then she moved back to Canada. She wasn't allowed to work. We tried to get her like, off the table jobs, under the table jobs, but there's no, it's like, what are you going to do? Like, what's the end game? She's like an executive. She's not going to be a babysitter forever.
Right.
And so that kind of broke us up. And then I was like, I want to move to New York.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an LA person. I'm not one of those people who hate LA. But anyway, so I had this, I worked really hard to get this tour across America. I was going to drive. It was going to be like post breakup, And then Trump got in office. My green card was in limbo, like it was being processed. So it was just a matter of I've been approved, but it had to be like processed. Like they had to make the green card. They had to mail it to me. They had to do some checks and balances. I was operating on the end of my O1 performing arts visa, and and it was supposed to overlap, right? So I wouldn't have to leave America. My green card was supposed to come before my O1 visa ran out. Then Trump got elected. He put a stop on all green cards. So I had to get out before, so I wouldn't like violate anything and then be banned from America forever because I would have extended my visa. So I had to leave all my stuff. I just grabbed whatever I could, leave my car, cancel the tour, sell everything I owned over the phone, sell my car over the phone from Canada, and just live with my parents as like a 35-year-old, just play cards with them for every night for like 4 months. And then I got my green card. They were, because it was really tough because I had been arrested actually. So
Oh
I had
yeah,
to
right.
drive. I had to drive. They put a halt on everybody's, but they were like, Trump was like
Put a
tough
big
on
magnifying
crime,
glass.
Yeah.
tough on crime, even though
Graffiti.
I'm a criminal and everyone I know is a criminal. And so like I had to drive to Montreal from Ottawa, which is luckily only a 2-hour drive. If I lived in Vancouver, I would have had to like, that's like flying from Seattle to New York. Like I would have had to
Oh my
fly.
God. Okay.
So
Yeah.
luckily I just I grabbed my parents' car, drove 2 hours to Montreal, and like begged like some American, because that's where the big head office is for the American consulate. I had to be like, it was graffiti.
Yeah.
I was expunged. I'm a nice boy. I've literally never gotten any trouble anywhere. And she looked at me and like I basically, they had broken window laws in New York back then, and it's like why Mike Bloomberg basically isn't the president right now is because it was just like focused on like minorities and stuff. And they had quotas. The cops, New York cops had like quotas, like if you didn't arrest so many people, blah blah blah. And luckily, she was from New York and she was a black lady, and she was like, I know, that you just got picked up. That's what happens. The police just sometimes would make you disappear for like 10 years in New York. And so she was like, stamp, boom, I got my green card, moved to New York, and it's been pretty awesome ever since. I finally was able to,
Dude, what
yeah,
a trek though. Jesus.
yeah,
But yeah, no, it's super easy, right?
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not-
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then
Good
just like
God, man.
and like you have all this, and just like that's not even really including how insanely difficult it is to succeed in stand-up. And that entire time you're succeeding, and you just got the everything else happening around you too.
Yeah. But the one thing is like, I will say this, that my journey was, I always like, what would it have been if I had been able to stay in New York? I don't know.
Sure.
My trajectory maybe would have kept going up in the same direction. My career be completely different. But maybe not. And what I will say is, in the trajectory that I did take, I had a lot of fun. I got to travel a lot and do what I love for a living and make a lot of friends in Canada and in LA that I would have never made had I not done that. And I've been able to make, like, not have a day job and like make a middle class living, and for like 8 years.
That's
So
awesome.
it's like, it's like, what am I gonna, it's like all that is crazy, but you just kind of, that's life.
Yeah.
And that's not that's probably not an uncommon story for most non-Americans trying to work in America.
Oh my God, I would work with these guys, especially back in the day when I was like undocumented. I'd work with these guys who like literally like crawled through a tunnel or whatever they did and walked through a desert, and they're from like a city, and they've been raising their kids over Skype for 10 years. And because the public school system is so bad in Mexico, they got to pay for their kids' private school, and they got their wife's in a good neighborhood. They haven't had like sex with their wife and seen her hug their kids or what for like 10 years, And I'm like, just like, and I got there literally in my parents' van. We just told the border guard we were going outlet shopping. So, so it's like,
a little different.
Outlet shopping.
Yeah. And now I'm here legally. And they're not. So,
yeah.
That's crazy that you took that step to like, let me refresh. Let me do this the right way so that the long term will be way more beneficial for me.
Yeah.
Because you're not constantly looking over your shoulder. waiting to get picked
Exactly.
up on a graffiti charge
That's
again.
right. Life
That's
is all
yeah.
about like it's weird. It's like you have to put there's no shortcuts. You always have to put the time in.
Yeah.
It's like people start stand up and they're like if anybody who starts stand up late who has had a successful career in anything else will always be like, I'm gonna start a show, I'm gonna book people, I'm gonna make contacts, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna start touring, and they're like thinking how they can game the system. And then it's
Yeah.
like you talk to them 2 years later and they're like, yeah, it's fucking stand up,
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
you're
Come
home.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a lot of that in Nashville because it's a very small comedy scene. So,
Yeah.
from the guys that are starting out like today, they're also at the same open mics and bar shows and everything as like someone who's been doing it for a decade or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So there's no like I felt like when I was in New York, you would see the steps kind of. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm hitting these mics every single night, and I'm doing these bar shows, and I'm doing these clubs, and then I'm doing bar shows and clubs, and then I'm going on the road, and like then I'm moving around. And here it's sort of I feel like it's all jumbled together, but
There are
it's
those
sort
people everywhere. They're
yeah,
in New York. Yeah.
yeah,
But
and
totally.
it can be fun to watch because there's some young like open micers that are like, what if we go to the open mic in Louisville? And I'm like, I kind of love that idea. Like, go do it. And
Yeah.
so it's interesting to watch some of these guys.
Always got to get out when you're doing mics to other scenes.
For
Yeah,
sure.
especially when it's a small scene, we just see each other so
Yeah.
often. You're like,
Yeah.
people,
And then you might see somebody that like inspires you. And you're like,
Yeah.
whoa, that person's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wish I
absolutely.
could go back to year one me and just be like, network, man.
Yeah.
Talk to people. I know
Yeah,
you
I
do.
know.
I know you don't want to. Talk to people.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like hard enough. It's like you finish high school and you're like, thank God I never have to do that again.
Right.
And then you start comedy, you're like, shit.
I gotta do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta do that again. It's like
Yeah.
I'm like not, I do comedy because I want a scripted interaction with people where I look cool.
Same.
Not really, but that's like 30%
Yeah.
of it, maybe.
That's
Yeah,
about
yeah.
about 80% of it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Maybe it's 80%. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
just lying to myself to seem cool. And you. But yeah.
When you first got to New York, we usually ask like whose people's classes were. Like, who were you coming up with before you had to head to Toronto and then come back? And
Yeah, I came up with Sam Morrell, Mark Norman, Dan Soder. Nate Bargatze was a little ahead of us, but I used to hang out with him all the time. Pete Davidson, Michael Che, um, yeah, Mike Lawrence, who's a writer
I love
Yeah,
Mike.
in LA, super funny stand up.
Yeah, he would always come to Wilmington. He's hilarious.
Yeah, that place is beautiful. So I got the Florida Panthers thing behind me.
Yeah.
Who else? Yeah. Oh, Joe List.
oh yeah, okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I've heard of a
It's
couple
pretty-
of those names,
Yeah, there's a couple guys doing okay.
Oh, Andrew Schultz and I used to bark together, do the same
nice.
shows.
Oh,
How is
man.
Andrew Schultz like barking for a show? It's
Yeah.
like, hey,
well,
get in here. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, I got them in here. They're just like, they're terrified, but they're in it.
Yeah, they're a bunch of terrified Indian people. But no, Andrew Schultz has. I will say this: he has the most diverse fan base out of any
I can
comic,
see that.
for sure. If you ever like they ever pan to the crowd, it's not like if he's like making fun of like black people or Indian people, and they don't just show the one Indian person laughing; they'll show like 30 of them.
yeah.
So anyway, him and I think those are all the big ones. Amy Schumer was like not famous. She was just like if she had Instagram now, like back then, if it was the same, she would have like 8,000 followers.
Yeah.
She was just like there, like around the clubs, and we would talk all the time. And I was like, she's really funny. I think
This
she's
might work
pretty
out
good.
for her.
Yeah.
I just moved. I've only been in New York for like a year. And I came from Boston, and my building manager was this Brazilian woman who was basically like my New York mom and just took care of me. And then her husband was just like, kind of like cool older hippie
Brazilian
guy.
New York mom. That's cool.
Yeah, and he was just like, they were just the chillest people, and they were like, yeah, man, we're gonna come to your stand up or whatever. And so they came. It was like a show at the Old New York Comedy Club. I'm pretty sure it was a Laughing Buddha show. That would probably make sense. And then I remember like a year later, I was talking to them after I'd moved out of the apartment, and the one guy was like, man, that one headliner from that show is doing pretty good now. And I was like, oh, who was the headliner? And he was like, it's Amy Schumer. And I was like, Amy Schumer was on that show? I was like, I had no idea.
It's so funny.
Yeah, and I was just like this. I had no idea who anyone was on that show, and now I wish I could go back and find the lineup and be like, who was all there that night?
Yeah. Where are they now?
Yeah,
it's great that he remembered that. Most people see up and coming stand-ups, and then the next day don't remember a single person's name.
Yeah,
gone.
And then 3 years later, they're famous, and they don't even remember that they saw them.
Yeah.
Like, honey, is that guy that would? Nah.
Yeah.
Realize
you saw him. Yeah. That's always I had a friend that was like, it was just, he's a younger comic, but he was pushing it on Facebook of like, hey, if you go to a club, try and remember the feature's name, like try and remember the host's name, like that's because like the headliner, so try and remember the next wave of people coming through and everything. Yeah, because
good social skills too if you're a stand-up.
Yeah. Well, and that's also part of like the networking thing where it's like, I don't remember who the feature was, but I had a good night hosting.
Last night I was like minute 40 into a set, and I was like, hey guys, I got a new comedy special out. I'd love it if you check it out. And then one lady was like, what's your name?
Yeah. I think
I
it was
has
like
her phone in her hand, like, what's your what?
Yeah.
What did we buy tickets to? Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, this is one indignity after another.
There was an old Goldman special where he reintroduces himself as he's like, I'm Gary, or like, so it was like this very small, I think it's in, I forget which one it's in, but I try and do that sometimes if I'm doing a longer set, but like, I don't think they remember, like I'll say like my name on stage and be like, just, I'm Will, like I'm Will Abeles,
My favorite.
Best, go ahead.
Oh, my favorite is when after the show, like, man, I've never heard of you.
Yeah,
but good job.
Yeah,
like, you could have just.
Well, that
good
means
job.
that you were so good that he's like, I should have heard it.
Yeah. It's just so funny, man. They just say it with the biggest smile, and I appreciate him coming to talk to me after the show.
Yeah,
I get, who am I? Really, but they're like, man, who are you? All right.
The best version of a joke where you remind the audience your name is Al Lubell. He's not a known comic. He's sort of like a New York club guy that has been kicking around for 30 years. He's like a Harvard lawyer. He's gone insane a bit. He's semi-homeless, doesn't shower a lot, still does cellar bits every once in a while. But he's like one of these hyper-intelligent people that kind of went off. He's a very eccentric guy, but very smart. And his bit, you can find it on YouTube, Al Lubell, and it's just the way the word choice, and it's just like he starts saying Al Lubell, and he breaks it down how it's like, if that works this way to that way, this way to that way. It just makes you think about his name for like 5 minutes straight. And there's no, like, I would not retelling you this now.
Yeah. Right.
I would remember his name.
Yeah.
If I wasn't like a 2-year comic and I watched it now, I was like, holy crap. It's like how like that like era of Carlin when he was like, P's are weird. P starts like this, P goes like that. And it's just, but he does that like in a in a more current way.
I think that's how you can truly tell someone is super intelligent, is if they do go crazy.
Yes.
Like, I don't think
That's
in this. Well, I don't think in the state
Yeah.
of the world, I don't think you can be that. Like, I'm talking like
Kanye
genius level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You're talking
be
about
okay.
Kanye right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely very, very smart in a specific way. And has gone nuts. You pay for it.
And he's not gonna get any better.
Right.
Not gonna get any help.
Because I mean,
Surrounded by sycophants.
Yeah.
I still feel like it's from when his mom passed away, and she's not coming back. So I feel like that's the
Right.
only thing that could fix it.
She's
is
the only
like
person that could ground him. Be like, you're being an idiot.
You're an idiot.
Yeah.
Stop wearing those
thank
stupid
you.
shirts.
Yeah.
So Graham, tell us about the special. You filmed it at Gutter, correct?
Yeah.
At
So
Gutter Bar? Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
So in Gutter is this, like explain to your audience, it's just like cool venue in Brooklyn. It's
Yeah.
this bar that has like 5 bowling lanes, bunch of like cool like old video games, and in the back it's got this really cool theater area,
Yeah.
and they do a weekly comedy show there called Comedians You Should Know. And then those guys who run the show helped me produce this special. I was like, what if we shoot a special back there?
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
And
awesome.
I did some, I know a guy, a Canadian guy, there's a little bit of a Canadian mafia down in New York. We stick together, and he works on HBO shows doing production and sound, but he's like a really good director, and he wants to like get into directing specials. So he got all his HBO buddies to do like, director of photography, audio engineer, lighting engineer, and it just looks sick. It's like, looks like
Yeah,
an HBO
Yeah.
special
Yeah.
that's shot in a bowling alley.
that's fantastic.
And yeah, released it on Wednesday, October 5th, and it's out now. And I'm just super proud of it. And I just, I got to get people to watch it. That's all. It's the
Heck
only
yeah.
step, because, it's like, oh, they were like, you or Netflix Canada was kind of interested in it. And I'm like, well, then America couldn't see it if I did that. So I was
Right.
like, I just want, my last special kind of got buried in America because it was only available in Canada for a while. Then it was released on the Canadian YouTube channel where all the subscribers were Canadian, but it was
Okay.
Okay.
geo blocked in Canada because it was on TV in Canada, so only American YouTubers could see it. So it like didn't do great numbers,
Okay.
and
Just kept
and
getting
I like
buried by
didn't want to
algorithms.
deal with that cross border stuff again. I was like, I'll just put it on YouTube, everyone can see it. So it's available to you for free, whoever's listening.
Well, I feel
And
like that's the
it's
way of the special nowadays.
yeah,
Yeah.
Especially with Netflix coming down saying they're not really going to pay for special. Like they'll buy
Yeah.
specials, but they're not going to pay for the production of them anymore.
Right.
So,
that's right. I mean, I paid for it.
But yeah, what I was gonna say was like, even I remember trying to show friends like a Roy Wood Jr. special on Comedy Central one time, and this was like years ago. But like, Viacom is always fighting with some internet company, and so what they'll do is they'll be like, well, unless you have this, you can't watch it ever. Or they'll just like take the special off. Like even that was like, I remember being like super complicated to just try and like watch a Comedy Central special. And it was like, well,
Yeah, Roy Wood Jr. is a guy who's like should be bigger as a stand-up,
yeah,
but he has a family and he took the money.
right,
Do you know what I mean? He's like,
yeah,
I got kids. I need that, so Comedy Central gave him money. Like, we're going to do this. We're going to give you a lump sum, and
yeah,
we're going to air it on Tuesday at 9. So if you have a cable if you are
yeah.
if you are in a coma and you just woke up from 1995 and you watch TV that way, you'll see it.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
haven't, you'll never see it.
yeah.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
remember being like frustrated because I was like, I didn't really realize how many specials there were. I was like, oh, these are just like lost on
I
this.
feel like I'm one of the
They're-
random people that, because I have YouTube TV, and I have Comedy Central, so I actually got to watch it. But I
But do you
remember
wait? How does it work? Can you like watch it whenever you want, or you have to wait till it comes on?
So luckily, it's like it's TV and like a TiVo at the same time, so I was able to record it, and then I could watch it whenever I wanted to.
Oh yeah,
Because
but
it
you
was
have
technically
you
like
have to
set.
wait. You have to.
But I
hope
had to
they air
wait
it.
for it to come
Yeah.
out. Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
But yeah, I had to wait till I think I watched it like that Tuesday or that Thursday or something.
Mhm.
But yeah, Tuesday at 9. Like who's popping the popcorn and sitting down on the couch and
Nate
ready to-
Bargatze's first special is on Comedy Central, and they played it during. I don't know if you remember, like 5 years ago, there was a Manny Pacquiao fight, and it was, for whatever reason, it took over the cultural zeitgeist. It was like girls who'd never like talked about boxing in their life were excited for the fight, and every bar was sold out, and it aired during the Pacquiao fight, and no one saw it.
Was it Floyd Mayweather? Was it that fight?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because I remember I was in New York that
the
time. I
world
remember
took
like
a-
it was
yeah.
insane. Yeah, you couldn't
Yeah.
get into a bar that night.
And that's when they aired Nate Bargatze's first special. And I
Wow.
think
Wow.
8 people and 4 cats saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he bounced back. He bounced back.
He bounced back. The
Hated to see how
man,
detrimental to his career it was.
Yeah.
when you're that good and you write that quickly, it's like
Mhm.
8 months later, he's got like another
Oh yeah.
clean.
I got to see him do
Yeah.
15 new minutes last Tuesday.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I open for him now. It's an honor.
Yeah.
These guys.
Yeah.
Well, you know he's
Weird to see your
he's gonna have a
buddy.
great audience. You know?
Yeah, his audiences are fantastic. They're
Yeah.
like comedy fans. They're like,
Yeah,
they're great.
because I'm starting to see, because I've been opening for Dusty Slay, you know, so
Nice.
he's getting the Nate Land fans, and they're fantastic people. They're just everyday people.
Yeah,
it's great
for sure.
Yes. But yeah, so how did you go? Like, how would you say your mindset was a little different heading into the second special as opposed to the first special?
Well, you just, I don't know, you've been through it before, so you know what to
Yeah.
expect. I was also like in a space that I was comfortable with, and I was surrounded by like a support group.
Oh, that's huge.
And when I filmed my first special, it was at a comedy festival. It was at the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival in Montreal.
Oh,
And
cool.
I didn't have any friends or family. All my friends were like comedians doing their own thing during the festival. And I was just like alone in a green room, like about to film a
Yeah.
special, like completely alone. And I was like, and then I got off stage and like ate an apple by myself. It was weird.
Yeah.
And this was like,
No, I can see how that would be, just put you in a weird space for sure.
yeah. And this was like hanging out, you know, I it was like I was helping produce it. So I was like, what about this, the lighting, and choosing lighting like 2 hours before and figuring stuff out, and which was kind of, I couldn't really worry about it. And then
Yeah.
I got off stage, and it was like a bar that I would hang out anyway is attached to this performance space that I'm in and that I love, and all my friends are here, and it was like awesome. It was the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah. It's a very
Yeah.
different feel. It's the camaraderie's there, and yeah, it's just
Yeah.
yeah.
All my buddies came to view it and like see it, like even people that like are like super busy and going through some personal stuff showed up for like a couple, like as much as they could, and left. It was like really, it was nice. It was
That's
nice.
awesome, man.
And
I
I'm the
felt that in
boss.
Wilmington.
I was the boss. So if I screwed up, I could be like, at the end, we're going to redo these two jokes, and you guys are all like my fans in the audience, so you guys got to laugh anyway. And everyone, and it only happened once. People were like, yeah, great. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
We'd love to be in on it, you know?
Yeah.
That's something I don't think a lot of people realize, is how that does happen. Like, hey, we got to redo that joke or whatever. And even myself included, I was doing like a Zoom thing for 20. It's a whole mess of a thing.
Yeah.
But I could not get this last joke going. And then I was like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm just recording this on Zoom. I'm just gonna do it again. And I never got the joke down. I just couldn't get through it because I was just so tired by the end of it. Because it's like you're putting an hour performance on Zoom, so there's like little extra effort, and then you're just sad the entire time.
Yeah.
So then I went back, and like I had a whole new crowd come in, and I recorded it just for those group, like just that group, just that final joke. But like then that's when I was like, oh yeah, this happens all the time live. You know, it's not crazy.
Yeah.
It's just good editing, and makes sense, because like why would you want to put a joke that you bombed like on a special, you know?
Yeah. For me, I think I just screwed up the intro. Like I walked up when the host was up, so it wasn't like,
seamless.
you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had Lucas O'Neill opened, and he blew the light thing. I was like, I don't know what to do about this. I was like, I don't like any of it. We're doing it on Zoom. I was like, Lucas just blew the light on Zoom. I was like, what's happening?
Who cares?
The world's on fire anyway.
Everyone's grandparent is dead in a freezer. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you talked earlier about having to bypass a Conan opportunity because you couldn't work Conan. Have you gotten a late night retribution?
Yeah, I never got to do Conan. He stopped doing it.
Yeah,
but I did Colbert and Fallon, and I had fun experiences on both of those.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I always wanted to do a late night. Even I'm of the generation where that's like huge.
Yeah.
yeah, just that was super, super affirming. That's like
Yeah.
it's one of the reasons why I moved to New York is I needed that,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and
it was on your list. You needed to check it off.
yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
me, and I did that. It was awesome, and I was able to do my second late night Fallon during the pandemic, which is like no one gets a credit in the pandemic.
Right. That's
Yeah.
great.
It was awesome.
Like
It
you
was,
Yeah, I
working the
remember that.
time off, it's great.
yeah, yeah. I like work wise. I mean, I was New York was the place to be. There were so many park shows. I like worked on
Yeah.
jokes. I wrote a bunch of new stuff.
Yeah.
I biked everywhere. I was in the best shape of my life because I wasn't going on the subway. So I bought a bike and I was just like, I was the summer of White Claws. I was off beer and I was just like
Oh man, there you go.
jacked and like
It's crazy to
writing
think how many
jokes.
lives White Claw has probably saved.
What's that?
It's crazy to
about
think how
Oh
many
yeah,
lives.
yeah. How many lives?
Yeah.
100%. Mine, one at least. And then I got a credit and I was like, this is crazy. I
Yeah.
feel very guilty for having a good year, you know.
So was that
But
when they were doing like the specials like in the booth kind of thing?
I was the first one with the audience back.
That's
Oh
amazing.
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. They
Check
were
and
masked,
check.
but they were back and it was
They were
like
You
there
can
and
hear
they
the
were
laughs.
doing it.
That's all that matters.
it was
Oh,
it
that's
was
so
it
cool.
was it was lit.
That's what I
Lataf?
say.
Was it Lataf?
Don't you
Yes,
start.
Lataf. It was Lataf.
Thank you, everyone.
Um,
Thank you.
I was not mid.
Good.
So yeah,
Good,
that's
good,
how
good.
kids say it.
Yeah.
I
The
just
lingo
stopped
these
trying
days.
to keep up. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just so cool. It comes naturally to me,
Yeah.
I
That's
wanted
what
to impress you.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you.
You did great. You did spectacular.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You impressed Cool Drew. That's what we call him
Yeah.
here in Nashville. We always
Yeah.
call him
Send me
Cool
your Venmo.
Drew.
Nothing like saying I'm a cool guy by being called Cool Drew.
Cool Drew. Cool
Oh,
Drew.
there he is. Cool Drew.
I really,
Cool Drew.
really sparks confidence in how cool I am.
He's just biking by on a tandem bicycle with no one on the other. Cool Drew.
That's just Cool
He
Drew.
just waves and he hits a baby carriage.
Or it's Nashville. Someone just runs me over.
Runs them over. Yeah.
Yeah, we got
Do a
some
bunch of
tandem drivers.
bachelorettes.
Yeah. Or a tractor.
So,
Just a hay ride.
Yeah. So you're currently on the road. How long are you staying on the road, or you're in Denver?
I am
What are you doing in
in
Denver?
Colorado. I just did the Comedy Fort in Fort Collins.
Oh,
Great
I
club.
love that place.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't
So
gotten to
fun.
check it out, but I'm just putting what the Colorado room was in Fort Collins, like in my mind in a comedy club. So
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what that means, but
That
this
was-
is good.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
David's room before
really?
he got to build the club, and it
Yeah.
was amazing. It was fantastic.
It was so much fun. Great weekend. And now I'm in I did Boulder last night. I'm in Denver just doing, bar shows. And then I got on this coming weekend, I'm doing the Denver Comedy Lounge. So
Yeah.
bar shows. I'm in an
back to the Comedy
Airbnb just
Lounge.
chilling. Like post breakup, I got like a 10-day get out of my head, get out of the apartment, just do it, work, concentrating on work, doing comedy, relaxing, crushing a couple of White Claws.
There you go.
And
They're always there
going on.
for you.
They're always there for you. Yeah.
I was at the Denver Comedy Lounge about a month ago, and maybe 2 months ago now. The sake seltzers that they're. Do you remember the sake seltzers at the Denver Comedy Lounge?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, those caught up to me this time around.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that hit
Yeah.
me like a
Well, you
ton
also,
of bricks.
if you
That's
just
great. That
flew
means you
into
did it
Denver, you
right.
can't drink like that.
God. The first show was fine, but the second show, I look across at Ben and I was like, I don't think I've ever been this drunk on stage in my life. Like,
Oh really?
I
Oh,
couldn't
yeah, that's
like.
tough.
I mean, I wasn't like that drunk where you're like ranting and like, the audience is like, oh, he might have a gun. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
It was just
Yeah.
this like, I was just like a
I hope
silly
he's
drunk
drunk.
where I was just like, I was just like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Let's see how this goes.
I think I've only slurred a couple times on stage, but if you were you slurring?
I was like one of those where I forget what the word was, but I was like, oh, I didn't say that word right at all.
Yeah,
And then-
and that's the kind of thing where you're like, never again.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I
Gotta
still
be able
want
to
things.
do the job.
Yeah, you gotta be able to do the job, and it's like,
Yeah.
but you got to learn. You know,
Yep.
you're out in Denver having fun, doing comedy. We're supposed to be pirates, you know, and then you're like, oh yeah, I gotta get.
Oh yeah, I gotta.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
why we have that stone drunk sober show.
Yeah. So
Get it out of
that's
your
where
system. You're supposed
you're allowed
to
to do it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, Graham, where can anybody find you at, and especially that special? Where can they go watch it at?
You can follow me on Instagram at Mr. Graham K. Graham is spelled like the cracker, Kayky. So Mr. Graham K. And then it's youtube.com/Graham K Comedy for the special. That's youtube.com/Graham K Comedy for the special. I'm not asking you to watch it. I need you to watch it. And I'm really proud of it. I'm only telling you because I think you're going to like it, and it's free, you know?
It's
so
free, baby.
yeah,
Free 99, my favorite.
that's
well,
right.
you talked me into it. I'm gonna go watch it. So that's
Thanks,
fantastic.
buddy. Appreciate it. I'll watch yours.
Well, there we go. Perfect. That.
Yeah.
The
old comedy special 69.
Old trades.
Oh, baby. Is that what they call it these days?
Yeah.
If it's not, that's what they're gonna be calling it.
Yeah. I think that makes sense.
It
Well,
does.
that's the clip. That's the clip I would like to take from this.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be our promo clip for the week. That's great. No context, just that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well,
Nice.
Graham, it was great seeing you.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. It was nice to meet you. I'm glad.
Yeah,
I'm
really
glad
nice to meet you too.
Glad you're out
Yeah.
on the road in one of my favorite places. I hope the tour continues to go well.
Thanks, Drew, and good to see you again, Will.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll cross paths again soon.
Well, we'll just have to do that. I don't know. Is that a weird way to end? I don't know.
No, that's perfect.
Bye.
Everyone hit that subscribe button.
This is where I dive off. Yeah.
We'll see you next week, or stay live and watch Will kill himself.
I don't hit leave. You just see me get up. I still have my AirPods in. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, we're in the back. Well, that didn't go well. God.
One of those guys to like me. I'm a stupid little bitch. You're a stupid little bitch, aren't you, Graham?
All right. Well, that's perfect. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
On it, Graham.